Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Kryptonian saying here, bringing you guys a review for One Piece chapter 929. And I gotta say, man, this chapter in particular, the ending absolutely caught me off guard, man. You know, Law is telling Sanji, like, yo, it's better if you get the hell out of here, if you go off somewhere and hide. And you get this moment where you see Drake and you see Hawkins teaming up, and this is the thing that kind of got me on this, right? The fact is that Sanji is in some shit. Like the whole plan that they have is to go under the radar, not draw any attention to themselves, and this whole time, ever since Luffy showed up, they've done everything except for that. Like, they've drawn attention to themselves. Like, Franky has blown his cover, and granted, to his credit, Franky got super pissed off because he was trying to get the plans for Kaido's mansion, and nobody appears to actually have the plans. They've gone missing. Sanji did the right thing. That little girl was going hungry, so Sanji had to do what he had to do. Like, I understand that element of it right there, but I mean, it's just like, damn. Like, that just goes to show you, like, the best laid plans can always blow up in your face, man. Like, there's so much stuff that's happening in this chapter where at first I started getting bored with the chapter, and then like around page 10 or 11, once you had Orochi saying like, hey, look, you gonna have to give me Vegapunk. That's when my ears perked up. I said, wait a second, you gonna have to give him what? And then he's like, man, I don't care if you got celestial dragons. I don't care if you got the admirals, the navy. It don't matter to me. Wano ain't bowing down to none of them. Bring them all to our front doorstep. We want all the smoke. Once all that happened, I'm sitting there, I'm going, holy shit, man. Like, Wano is just ramping this stuff up. Like, just when I think Oda can't raise the dial up any further, he gets it hotter and hotter in the kitchen. Like, this really makes me wonder, right? This really makes me wonder. I know people have said, like, hey, man, you know, when you get to Wano, like, you know, this is gonna pass Marineford. Is this Oda's way of saying, like, hey, what if all the Straw Hat Pirates were in Marineford together? You know, I feel like this is like Oda kind of testing the waters on that, saying like, hey, let's see what the Straw Hats can do when they're joined up all together at once and they're in a situation where shit hits the fan on multiple levels. Like, we saw it to an extent on Dressrosa, but this is something different, man. This is a different beast altogether, because now you're going up against one of the four emperors right here. The only thing that can make this work, is if Blackbeard all of a sudden showed up, but even Blackbeard is just laying in the cut right now. And I know they said that Big Mom was chasing Luffy, but I mean, at the end of the day, like, Big Mom, like, unless Big Mom brings Cracker with her, I don't think Luffy's gonna have any trouble with any of the people underneath Big Mom. But the thing is like, the four emperors, they're so divided. Like, I don't see a scenario to where Big Mom don't show up and Kaido doesn't end up having to fight like a war on two different fronts, where he's got Kinemon and the Straw Hats on one side, and then he's got Big Mom on the other. Like, I don't think Oda would do something like that. I feel like if you have two of the emperors going at it and Luffy kind of has to slink and slither around, that kind of downplays this whole thing of what they've said where Luffy is the fifth emperor of the sea. I feel like Luffy needs this moment where he takes down Kaido so he can actually get that respect and truly arrive on the scene right here. But, you know, I gotta say, you know, the ending page, though, that, you know, the last couple of page spreads are absolutely beautiful, whether it be Orochi and, you know, he's like, hey, we're gonna eat and drink to our heart's content, and just the way that he's actually drawn, where I think he's got Komurasaki there. I thought that was really awesome. I like the page spread where you see Drake showing up and page one showing up. Like, this was good. This was really, really good, like, just the artwork aspect of it. But backing up a little bit, this chapter definitely went by very, very quickly for me, man. Like, again, I don't know if maybe it was one of those things where my expectations were just so much higher after the last chapter, but I didn't enjoy this one as much, you know. And those of you guys who have been with me on the One Piece journey for a long time know that it's not many chapters that I find myself not actually enjoying. And with this one, I didn't enjoy it as much. I thought that there were cool moments. As always, Oda comes through with the artwork. Like, Franky's panels, when Franky shows up, they're absolutely hilarious. They're super expressive. You expect that out of Franky. I like the touch of the speed lines when Franky is just shouting and raising hell. Like there are great moments here. And yet at the same time, it's just like, you can't really look at these character interaction moments and say like, man, these are going to carry the chapter. That's not the case. Like even when you have Kanjuro is usually a good laugh for me. Even with Kanjuro, when he's, you know, sticking out absent-mindedly, it's not anything that just really affects me. The same thing when Zoro's walking with this older lady and you get the whole hunting down of the various people that have held onto the map, where they go from the pawn shop to the geisha to the guy down the street to the guy up the block, the guy around the corner. Like this was one of those times like I was highly disappointed here. Again, I understand what Oda was going for here. I just feel like maybe there was a little bit of misexecution here. Again, it might just be me. This might be one of those times where maybe if the anime gets a hold to it because of the pacing and everything, this scene's gonna hit me a lot harder. But you know, for me, I understood that this was a make or break moment for Kinemon's plan. They needed the blueprint to Kaido's mansion. This was a huge failure where even when they're trying to draw the attention of like, hey, you know, the thieves are here, it's still one of those things where, like I said, it doesn't feel like everything hit for me. It does not feel like everything hit. Like the more I'm thinking about, the more I'm actually disappointed in this chapter. Like I still give it above average rating, but you know, I guess that says a lot about One Piece as a whole, to where even like the chapters are like 6.5 or 7. I expect more. I expect Oda to come 8, 9 out of 10. Like for me, I would say that Oda has not had a bad chapter since, I would say Oda's not had a bad chapter back to back, or just a bad chapter in general, since Thriller Bark. I know some people might say it's cap, but for me, I've genuinely enjoyed One Piece in my journey. And like, I have to go back to Thriller Bark before I can find a chapter that I just wasn't in love with. Like every chapter that's been there, even Fishman Island, which I know people tend to dump on, and even like with the Reverie stuff, because the Reverie, it was more politically based and everything. Like I enjoyed all that shit. For me, it wasn't enough for me to grab onto it. Maybe if we would have gotten a little bit more when Orochi's like, I want all the smoke, I don't really care, maybe something like that would have grabbed me a little bit more. But maybe that's just me. So my chapter question for you guys, I'm actually genuinely curious, man. So my chapter question for you guys is, how big of a moment was it that Drake showed up and is looking for Sanji? On a scale from 1 to 10, how big of a moment is that? And if you had to rate this chapter 1 to 10, let me know what your rating would be down in the comment section below. But as always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.